Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I will be discussing with the chapter 4 of your syllabus, which is your analytical determination of a chemical component. Okay, so before beginning with this topic, please do hit the like button, share the video with your friends and subscribe my channel. Now let's dive into it. So you might be wondering, what does the word analysis means? Analysis means a determination of something. So in chemistry, suppose you're given a sample and you want to determine some physical or chemical property of a component or a compound, that is called analysis. Now in chemistry there are two kind of analysis. The first one is a qualitative analysis and second one is a quantitative analysis. From the word itself you can easily distinguish what type do they indicate. The first one is a qualitative analysis where you will be asked to identify of unknown substances, okay, by observing the change in color, state, odor and so on. And to do the qualitative analysis we need to carry out a chemical reaction by adding some reagents from the outside. But in case of quantitative means some amount. So it helps in determination of composition of a mixture by measuring the physical property like density, volume, temperature, surface tension and all. So to measure this physical property we need an instrument to do so. Okay, so this was the basic difference between qualitative and quantitative. In our course we will be just discussing about the qualitative analysis. Okay, now, just as I said earlier, in qualitative analysis, we need a reagent. So, what is a reagent? It is a substance which will react with another substance to form some other compound. Okay, so very important laboratory reagent that we are going to use during this chapter is the alkalis. What are alkalis? Alkalis are bases which are soluble in water. So when these alkalis are added to certain salt solutions are formed by a cation and anion when a acid and base was reacting, discussed earlier in chapter 3. So when these alkalis are added to certain salt solution, a characteristic colored precipitate of metallic hydroxides are formed. And by seeing the formation of metallic hydroxide, the metal ions can be identified. So in this chapter, we will be discussing about the identification of metal ions. Okay, so you have come across a word called precipitate. What is a precipitate? When two soluble salts combine together, an insoluble compound is formed which does not dissolve in water and it settles down. That solid compound is known as precipitate. Okay, and the reaction type will be precipitation reaction. So, what kind of reaction we are performing while we are identifying a metal ion? It is a precipitation reaction. So, certain salts of elements are generally colorless. Okay, that is your salts of potassium, sodiums are colorless, they are normal elements. But the salts of transitional elements are your iron, manganese, nickel, cobalt, chromium. These all are transitional metal, they are placed in between the periodic table that show change from metal to non-metal character. So these elements are generally colored. So with the help of this colored salt we can easily identify the metal which is present. Okay, now we will be discussing actions of sodium hydroxide as well as action of ammonium hydroxide to distinguish the metal ions. First, we will be discussing about the sodium hydroxide solution NaOH. So, what are the procedure? What we are going to do? We will be adding sodium hydroxide firstly drop by drop, okay, to the metal salts, so that the hydroxide, the metal salt will convert into hydroxides and it will get precipitated out with the formation of different colors. Now this color of the precipitate will help in identification of a metal ion. Suppose if we are forming a blue color precipitate, we can identify the metal to be present as copper. Now we will also see whether the precipitate is soluble in excess sodium hydroxide or not. Okay, there are various precipitate which will not dissolve in when you add excess amount of sodium hydroxide, but there are also some hydroxides, metallic hydroxide, which dissolves when you add excess of sodium hydroxide. Now I'm discussing about the sodium hydroxide solution, but instead of sodium hydroxide solution, you can use potassium hydroxide solution also. Both behaves in similar fashion. Now we will discuss the various metal ions on reacting with sodium hydroxide solutions. The first we will be discussing is the calcium salts. So what happens when a calcium salt, I am taking example of calcium nitrate, it is taken in a test tube and sodium hydroxide solution is poured in that test tube containing calcium nitrate. Okay, so it will form calcium hydroxide. The color of this precipitate is white. See here, this is the calcium hydroxide precipitate. And we will be also forming a NaNO3 compound also, which is soluble. So it is a double decomposition reaction, or you can classify it as a precipitation reaction because we are forming a precipitate. Okay, this was the precipitate was formed when we added dropwise NaOH, but when we add excess NaOH, the precipitate slightly solubilize. That means it slightly dissolves. Okay, so if you are forming a white precipitate on addition of NaOH, then you can say the metal ion present in your solution is calcium. You will be given two solutions, okay, and you will be asked that when in test tube A and test tube B two solutions are taking and you added NaOH dropwise and two different colors of precipitate was formed. From the color of precipitation, you can easily identify the metal ions. Okay. Next salt we are taking is the salt of ferrous, which is Fe2 plus. Iron exists in two variable states, that is Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus. The first case is of the Fe2 plus ion. Now when a ferrous salt like ferrous sulfate is taken in a test tube and NaOH is added dropwise, we form a dirty green gelatinous precipitate. This formation of dirty green gelatinous precipitate accounts for the formation of ferrous hydroxide, and hence it helps in identification of the metal ion present as ferrous Fe2 plus. Okay, but when we added excess of NaOH, the precipitate does not dissolve, it still remains insoluble. That is, in excess of NaOH it does not dissolve. Okay, third one will be the identification of ferric ions, that is Fe3 plus. Similarly, what we do as done earlier, you will be taking a test tube containing ferric Fe3 plus ion salt. That is an example taken here is ferric chloride, and you add NaOH dropwise. When the reaction occurs, a reddish brown precipitate of ferric hydroxide will be formed. See this one. Okay. Now, when excess of NaOH was added to this precipitate, it does not dissolve. It still remains insoluble. Okay, so formation of reddish brown precipitate indicates the presence of Fe3 plus ion in a sample. Next salt is the copper salt, presence of Cu2 plus metal ion. We are taking example of copper sulfate, which is blue in color. Sodium hydroxide was added to it dropwise and it formed copper hydroxide, okay, which is pale blue in color. Now, when excess NaOH was added, it still did not dissolve. So the formation of pale blue color indicates the presence of copper metal. The next salt we will take is the zinc salt. Zinc salt itself is colorless. When an NaOH was added to it, it formed a gelatinous white precipitate of Zn hydroxide. You need to remember the formula of the hydroxide. You need to remember the color of the precipitate. Okay. Now, if this white gelatinous precipitate was formed, you can easily say that you have Zn2 plus in your sample. This white precipitate on addition of excess NaOH dissolves. That means we can say this white precipitate was soluble in excess NaOH and it leads to the formation of sodium zincate. Due to the formation of sodium zincate, this compound is water soluble. Hence, the precipitate dissolves. Okay. The last metal which we will detect using NaOH is lead. Similarly, as taken earlier, you will take a lead nitrate solution in a test tube. You will add droplets of NaOH and a chalky white precipitate of lead hydroxide will be formed. Okay, the formation of chalky white lead hydroxide precipitate indicates the presence of lead ions. Okay, this chalky white precipitate is also soluble in excess NaOH. That is, when you are adding excess of NaOH, this hydroxide will get dissolved and it will form sodium plumbite. Okay, now just as we have identified metal using NaOH, we can easily identify the metal using ammonium hydroxide. When ammonium salts is added to a solution containing NaOH, this NaOH is soluble and it will break the salt and ammonia gas will be liberated. Okay, so in presence of an alkali, when a ammonium salts are added, and ammonium gas is released, which has a pungent smell and it indicates the presence of ammonium cation. Okay, we will also distinguish metals using ammonium hydroxide. Ammonium hydroxide is comparatively weaker base than sodium hydroxide. Okay, same reaction will occur in case of sodium hydroxide. When we were identifying calcium salts, it form a white precipitate. But when you are using ammonium hydroxide, no PPT was formed. Okay, so you can easily suppose identify calcium salt. So there is no reaction between calcium salts and ammonium hydroxide. One thing you need to remember, you might be given a question to identify suppose you are given two beakers and they are labeled as A and B, and you are asked to identify whether the beaker A is ammonium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. How will you do so? In both the beakers, suppose if you add calcium nitrate salt solution, in case of sodium hydroxide, white PPT will be formed, but in case of ammonium hydroxide, no white PPT will be formed. So you can easily identify the beaker as ammonium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide. Clear? Similarly, when we take lead salt and you add ammonium hydroxide to it dropwise, a chalky white precipitate will be formed. This chalky white precipitate formation only indicates the presence of lead. Now, this lead precipitate is insoluble in excess ammonium hydroxide. That means whenever you add excess of ammonium hydroxide, the precipitate does not dissolve. The next salt will be the iron salts, with means both the variable valency, that is Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus. The reaction is similar as when you are reacting with sodium hydroxide, because when you are reacting any alkali or base with iron salt, it will get converted to hydroxide only. So the formation of ferrous hydroxide and ferric hydroxide, and their color will be helping us to identify the iron salts. Okay, so when Fe2 plus was reacted with ammonium hydroxide, we form a dirty green gelatinous precipitate Fe2 plus hydroxide, and when you are reacting Fe3 plus salt with ammonium hydroxide, ferric hydroxide was formed, which is reddish brown in color. So the formation of reddish brown precipitate will indicate the presence of Fe3 ions in your sample. Clear? Now we will be discussing about the copper salt. In case of ammonium hydroxide, when you add to dropwise to copper sulfur solution, initially you form pale blue precipitate, just as in case of sodium hydroxide. But in case of sodium hydroxide, the excess this precipitate was insoluble. But in case of ammonium hydroxide, the copper hydroxide solution, the precipitate dissolves due to the formation of this complex salt tetraamine copper sulfate, which is dark blue in color. Dark blue solution. Okay, so you are given a solution of copper sulfate, you add dropwise of ammonium hydroxide, you will forming a pale blue PPT. Now when you add excess of it, due to the formation of this amine copper sulfate, a complex salt, the pale blue PPT dissolves and it results in formation of a dark blue solution. So this happens only in presence of ammonium hydroxide, not in presence of sodium hydroxide. Clear? Similarly, when we'll be taking the example of zinc salt, here also when you add dropwise ammonium hydroxide to the white salt of zinc, you will be forming a white gelatinous PPT of zinc hydroxide. Okay, now when this zinc oxide was hydroxide was taken and excess of NaOH was added, the zinc precipitate dissolves due to the formation of tetraamine zinc sulfate. In case of copper, it was tetraamine copper sulfate, but in case of zinc, it is tetraamine zinc sulfate, and the color of the solution becomes colorless. So the PPT of copper and zinc is soluble in excess of ammonium hydroxide, which was not in the case of sodium hydroxide. Using copper solution also you can distinguish ammonium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide. So as you are aware that now you will be getting question based on MCQ, that is multiple choice question. It is very simple that you will be given that when sodium hydroxide was added to ferrous sulfate, what color precipitate was formed, and four options will be given to you. Okay, you need to pick the correct option. So we have completed this chapter. Hope you do like this video. Thank you.